In this video, I will be explaining how Aman Hambleton's Building Habits videos on YouTube has helped me to progress as a chess player. I will be putting this playlist in the video description. So as we can see here on the right, we can just quickly open up one of these videos. Actually, I'm not sure if I can due to copyright reasons, but anyway, Aman, he uses these habits here on the right. So I'll explain these as we go through one of my games. We are going to go to my lowest ever rated Blitz game on chess.com. As you can see here, it's 484 was what I was rated. And this is about 4 years ago. And so let's go through the game and I'll explain the habits as we go. So you can see that my pawn is controlling this central square. So basically all my moves are going to be following this idea of moving towards the center and prioritizing castling, which is why I'm playing this opening against the Sicilian. I don't really want to go into openings. That was a mistake that I said that. But anyway, let's keep going. Because I'm just trying to keep things basic. This is like the absolute basic 484. I had no idea what the Sicilian was. I was just doing these habits and trying to build good habits that would help me improve. And you don't really need openings at the beginner level. The most important thing is hanging pieces, which we will get to. So we keep going. They're doing pretty well in terms of the habits as well. And okay, we get to this moment here where kind of have to respond to what's happening. Just up until this, we've been, both of us been developing towards the center. Prepare. I've already gotten castled. Black is getting their knight out, looking like they're about to castle as well, potentially bishop here. And they push up. And so there's tension here. And we can see here, trade pieces. So whenever you get an opportunity to trade pieces at the beginner level, you should do it because it makes it less likely that you're going to hang pieces. So that's what I did. I took, and then I dropped my bishop back because here there are two defenders on this pawn and two attackers. So if I was to take with my knight, they would take with their knight. If I took with my bishop, they would take their queen, and we would have traded knight for knight, but I would have lost my bishop. I would have won a pawn, but I would lose my bishop, and that is not a good trade. That is not a equal trade. So I dropped my bishop back. They pushed on, trade, trade, trade queens, and I won a free pawn. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good about this so far. Also, I'm castled. Their king's still in the middle. If they're not careful, rook e1 is coming. So they play bishop d3. I see that this pawn is hanging, so I respond to that. We trade bishops, and they make a good idea, and they get developed, preparing to castle. So I bring my bishop out. They castle. Rook's moving towards the center of the board. I get my escape square. Now, this is very important because we can imagine if this pawn wasn't here and these rooks weren't here, the pawn is back here and these disappeared, this rook would come down here. Let's say this knight is out of the way as well. This rook would come down here and give check. The only thing I could do would be to block with the knight. Then the rook would take the knight, and that would be checkmate. That would be what we call a back rank checkmate. So I get this little escape square move here, h3, which I think beginners should play in all of their games. h6, if you're black, just makes it very unlikely that there's ever going to be issues along this back rank with your king being stuck, because you're always going to have this square to go to. So here we just start moving some pawns. often like once beginners have castled, if they even know how to castle, that's good. But once they do, they're like, okay, what should I do? So usually just pushing some pawns is a good idea because we know that if we get this pawn to the other side of the board, it can become a queen. So that's a pretty simple plan. You just start pushing pawns and try to get one of your pawns up to the other side. And then your opponent has to worry about this pawn. And so they're going to be defending, you're going to be attacking. It's a really simple way to attack. So both sides here push some pawns. And then we get this bishop b4 move. And I think that I saw that at this time I didn't know what a pin is. I'm not even going to be focusing on tactics in this video. But I could see that if I move this knight, then I would lose the rook. And if I defend the knight, then I would lose this pawn. Then there would be two attackers on this knight and only one defender. So I think I saw that I was going to lose material there. Technically, there are tactics that can involve that can help me to stay in the game and actually be pretty equal. But that was quite a complex situation for me to navigate at the time. And I just thought I'm losing too much material here. I'm going to resign. So that's what I did. And I'm not too unhappy with that game. I think I followed the habits pretty well. So let's go on to my next game. So as we can see, that was my lowest ever rated game, 484. I got a loss, and now we can see here still I dropped to 484, and we see here I get a draw with 27 moves. So let's have a quick look at that game. Once again, going through the game and seeing how well I followed the habits. As I said in that last game, I think I followed the habits pretty well. I just lost to some tactical complications, which I don't expect a 500 rated player to understand. So we keep going. I think in this situation, trading, taking a pawn looks pretty good. I mean, I'm already up a pawn actually. So just taking another pawn makes a bit of sense. But anyway, I put another pawn in the center. Can't be bad. I attack this bishop. I mean, I don't really like this bishop aiming at my queen. We saw in the last game that I got in this situation where if I moved my knight, I would have lost my rook, and now it's with the queen, so it's even worse. So I'm going to attack this bishop and see what black wants to do. They clarify, they make it easier for me. So taking here with the pawn, not so good, because I want a castle here. It's usually faster to castle kingside because you have less pieces to move out of the way. You only have two instead of three. And so now that I've taken with this pawn, then it's not as safe for me to castle this way because black's going to be able to bring a rook here and attack my king. So that move I'm not the biggest fan of. I think queen takes would have been much simpler. Plus, it brings my king closer to the center anyway. So that was a mistake based on these simple habits. And then still, I've had this opportunity to take this pawn on c6 for quite a while. So finally, I do take on e6 and then get developed, get some trades, and I drop that pawn. Not the greatest, probably could have played queen e2 instead to hang on to this pawn. And then I castle queenside. As I said, dangerous castling kingside with this open file. I mean, even though black has castled, it probably would have been better for black to castle queenside because then they would have had this, already would have had an open g file to attack down. So just continue to develop. This move, it's okay, but the problem is my king may get some issues on the back rank. So you saw in the last game how I got this escape square and then, well, it was over this side of the board. I played this h3 move and my king was here. So I always would have had that square to move to. What I like here rather than c3 is king over here, a3, and then my king always has this a2 square to go to. There are some tactical reasons that I'm not going to go into, which make it even a better idea, but let's just keep it simple for now. So we continue, and I attack the queen. Here we go to trade, lots of trades. Hung this pawn, not the greatest. I mean, I did bring my rooks to the middle, but probably just a simple move like this, just to defend my pawn. But then blacks can go here and attack this pawn. So I guess I've got to go here, but then they can come here and apply pressure. So we're seeing that it's not so simple. It's not so simple, but I am creating a threat on this pawn. So actually, you know what? Rook e1's not so bad. If they take, I can take. And that's another thing in the end game. We want to attack pawns. We don't want to be passive. We don't want to defend. So actually, I think rook f1 will be a mistake. First of all, we see that this rook is very active. It's attacking two pawns at the same time if it gets to f3, whereas my rook on f1, very passive, just defending this pawn. If I go here and attack, then yes, you can take a pawn. You can take a pawn. I will take a pawn. I'll be hitting your knight. Your rook's not really doing anything here. So yeah, actually, you know what? I think it was a pretty good move for a 500. He comes down here and attacks on f2. I take. He straight up hangs a piece. So here we see actually in the first game, no pieces were hung, not a single piece, which is pretty good for a 500 game. Now here we see a piece has been hung. Am I going to take it? Let's see. I did take it. I saw that it was hanging. Pretty proud of myself for that. And then they take a pawn. I take a pawn. Trade. Are we going to get a trade? Yes, we are. And yeah, here we're going to get a draw because I just don't understand how good my position is here. Um, I think I was worried about this pawn, so I just kept moving back to C1, and then they just kept checking me. But really, I can just I mean, I'm up a full bishop. I'm attacking this pawn. I won't get into the discovered attack that I had at some stage. Let's see, when did I have that? Actually, no, I didn't because they were checking me the whole time. Once again, don't want to get too into tactics, but that could have been a factor later. But anyway, basically, all I really need to do here is just bring my king up. You can have this pawn. This pawn's defending this bishop. The bishop's defending the pawn. Then I'm defending this. Just want to bring my king. I want to activate my king, right? I want to activate my king. I don't want to just leave it back here and just let it get checked. Like I can really just bring it up and eventually you're just not going to be able to check it anymore. I'm just going to run my king around and yeah, you can take this pawn and you might get some pass pawns. But I think I can defend those pretty well. I mean, I'm up a bishop, so there's really not that much to worry about. Anyway, we'll take that. It's better than the loss in the last game. Plus, I took a free hanging piece. So once again, I followed the habits pretty well in this game. So let's have a look at one more game where I win. So as you can see, I'm just going straight through. I'm not trying to cherry pick. I'm not just trying to like show you all my wins. I really want to show you how the habits play out because if you watch the videos, and once again I'll put the playlist for Aman's videos in the description for this video. He does not he's a grandmaster. He's a chess grandmaster, which means he's one of the top 500,000 players in the world. And he starts at like 400. We can see he starts at 400. So his rating is like almost 3,000 and he starts at 400. And he loses lots of games because he is trying to represent the rating that he is at. So he's not trying to just beat people easily. He's trying to show people, okay, I know that I'm a grandmaster, but I'm going to show you things that you can do and I'm going to show you how to do them. And they're very simple. And eventually we're going to build on those things over time. But to begin with, we're going to keep it very simple because even for me, and I'm rated 1300 now, I look at grandmaster games and it's confusing for me. So I can only really try to remember what it was like for me as a 500. it was even harder for me to understand these grandmaster games. So he, as a grandmaster, is coming down to this lower level and he's showing people step by step, block by block, how to improve. So anyway, let's go on to this game where I won a game. So let's go back and see how well that I followed the habits. So everything's looking pretty good here so far. Couple of trades. This move I'm not the biggest fan of because I'm not helping. Remember, prioritize castling. This move doesn't really help me get castled. So I would potentially think about e6 or bishop out here. So then I can play e6 and my bishop is not blocked in. I mean, either of those are fine at this level. Don't have to worry too much about blocked pieces. Everything's going to trade and open up eventually anyway. Plus the main focus is hanging pieces. So this move, not the greatest, just based on the simple habits. And then we get this e6 move. Now I am preparing to castle. So you know what? It's not the worst. It's not the worst. I mean, it's just a bit of a slow move order. If I was going to play e6 anyway, I may as well play it here. It prepares me to get castled faster in case white decides to push one of these pawns and try to attack my king while it's still in the center, which would be very dangerous. Okay, so let's keep going. And we see that they did push a pawn. Did I go towards the center? No. Okay, so here I could have played this move. I could have put my piece in the center. And yes, we get a trade, but that's fine. We want trades. Trades help us get closer to the end game and try to set up one of these basic checkmate patterns, which we'll get to eventually. So anyway, I went back, really don't like this move because once again, prioritize castling. It's making it even harder for me to get castle because now this knight's back in the way. It's blocking me. So just go into the center, take a trade, and play bishop e7, castle. I'll be a lot safer. Anyway, let's go on. Do I trade? Yes, I do. And okay, developing the knight, trying to get another trade. Do we get it? Yes, we do. Bishop e7. No, queen e7. So once again, really not a fan of this move because it's slowing down me getting castling. And as we can see, white is only one move away from castling. Their king's going to be safe. My king's going to be in the middle. So queen e7. Castle's queenside. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I can castle queenside. It's not the worst idea, but yeah, we go back to this bishop d7 move that I played earlier. It just would have been much simpler to play e6, bishop e7, and prepare to castle kingside. It would have happened a lot faster. It didn't get taken advantage of in this situation, but in chess, you always have to think about, well, my opponent didn't take advantage of it, but that doesn't mean that it was a good idea. We've always got to think objectively. And once again, these are very simple habits. I'm not telling you to play Grandmaster 3000 level strategy. I'm just asking you to play some really simple moves, moving towards the center, prioritizing castling. These are very simple things to do. And as we can see here at 500, it's still very difficult to do because they're just, and that's why I love that Aman called them habits, because they're things that you have to build up over time. They're not just things that come naturally to you. Okay, so let's keep going. Castle. This move, I mean, yes, you're attacking this pawn. I mean, your king's still in the middle. I mean, I won this game. I don't remember how, but we're going to see. I think that this king still in the middle is going to be an issue if they don't castle soon. I attack the queen. I don't like this move. Once again, I attack the queen, but like that's not towards the center of the board. If I was going to move this knight, I could just take a free pawn, which also defends this pawn. I could do that. I still wouldn't like that move. I mean, that move's okay, actually. That move's okay. I would probably prefer this move. Attacks the queen, defends the pawn. opens up my rook, makes it difficult for white to castle. That would be a very good move. Anyways, knight here, queen goes back, bishop attacks the queen. Queen goes back, attack the knight. Queen is hanging, but we can see here. Okay, so this is a tricky move because they left their knight hanging, but my knight is hanging. So if I take this, they're going to take this. So what did I do? I took the knight, they took, then I traded. I took a free pawn. Okay, not the worst, not the worst. Looks like, well, first of all, they're blocking the check. I brought my rook to the middle. I'm proud of that move. Okay, we get a castling finally from white. And okay, this move I really don't like. It really weakens my king. My king is here, right? So what I should be thinking about doing is king b8, a6, and potentially I will have this a7 square to go to if I need to. This one, I don't want to open up this diagonal. It just makes my king a lot weaker. Also, potentially the c file might open up eventually. My king will be very weak down here. So keep these pawns in front of your king just where they are here on the 7th rank and the 2nd rank. Just push up one to get yourself an escape square and leave the other two where they are. Okay, so I can get a trade here and I got it. Push some more pawns. As I said, if you don't know what to do once you're castled, just not the ones in front of your king, push the pawns on the other side of the board, especially if their king is up there, because now you're going to get this attack on their king. They should be doing the same thing, but they traded. So now, see, this one can't even move. And this one, if it moves, well, it has no pawn next to it to support it. So this one can push up, but it can only be protected by the rook. So they come down here and attack my bishop. I mean, my rook with their bishop. I go for a trade. They don't want it. Double the rooks on the open file. Nice one. They're creating an attack here. I'm wondering whether I'm going to see this. I did. Okay. Still, once again, don't like moving these pawns in front of my king. It would be much worse if the queens were on the board. I'm quite lucky that's not the case. Okay, so they pushed a5. Do I take? Yep, we just go for a trade. That's fine. Okay, tricky situation here. What am I going to do? Oh, actually, I just took. Okay, I didn't even see that. Yeah, I can just take. That's just straight up hanging piece. So as we see, don't hang free pieces and take free pieces. I have not hung a piece in this game. They just straight up hung a piece. Okay, they saw that they could give a check. Well, I didn't even see it just now. So I'm not really that surprised that a 500 is not able to see it. Board vision, we see these pieces are long range. This is kind of far away. I mean, if the rook was right here, it would probably be easier to see that bringing the bishop here is not a good idea because these pieces are, if the rook was here and the king's here, we would see that this square is like pretty well covered. But because this rook is kind of like a bit far away and it's moving to the side, it's not the simplest to see. So we see that at this level, games are just decided by hung pieces, and that's all you need to focus on. You don't need to focus on openings. You don't need to focus on tactics even. It's going to be quite a while, I would say, until about somewhere around like 700-800 is where you should start to learn tactics. And I'm going to go slowly game through each of my games, and we're going to see how many games are decided by hung pieces and when games are actually starting to be predominantly decided by tactics. So we get some trades, king to the middle. There's a hanging pawn here. I mean, I did bring my king to the middle, but like also bring my king here to defend is not the worst idea either. So just hung a pawn. This pawn is also hanging. Am I going to defend it? No, I gave a check. I mean, I'm pretty active. See, it's not really the worst idea what I've done because my king is active in the middle. It's going to create threats here. Yes, you can take, my bishop's going to be hit, but I can always just bring my bishop into the middle of the board. And I'm creating a lot of threats. So I'm kind of letting you have these pawns because I can create threats of my own. And you want your pieces to be active in the endgame, especially the king. The king is very valuable as an attacker in the endgame. We see that at the beginning, and I've sort of ordered these habits in terms of beginning. So at the beginning of the game, we're moving towards the center, we're developing. That helps us to get castles. Then in the middle game, we trade. We focus on free pieces, hanging pieces. And then in the end game, we activate our king, we use it because I think the simplest definition of the end game is when one side loses their queen. Now, there are far more complex definitions, and maybe sometimes it doesn't feel like it's an end game if all the pieces are on the board and it's just the queens off the board. But I think that's a very simple definition is when one side loses their queen, I think you can start to think about bringing your king in and using it as an attacking piece because the queen is the most dangerous piece to attack your king. And if their queen is off the board, then you can start to use your king as an attacking piece. If you lose your queen, it's an end game, but I still wouldn't bring my king to the center if they still have their queen. And if you only have one queen each, all the rest of the pieces on the board are gone. I still wouldn't bring my king into the board, into the middle of the board, because queens, they can just move in so many different directions in so many different ways. So it's very easy for them to check and attack the king. So they take a pawn. I defend my bishop. See, once again, I'm not hanging pieces. I haven't hung a piece in any of these three games that we've had a look at. I'm quite proud of that. I mean, these games are very simple. I hang pieces at my level quite a bit at 1300 because there's so many other things going on in the game that it's hard for me to keep track of all the threats. And sometimes I just hang a piece out of nowhere. It's less common. And as we see, we're going to go through these games and we're going to see that I do hang even more pieces. And over time, I hang less and less because you want to try and keep things simple and give yourself not too many things to think about. So that move doesn't do anything. That pawn's defended on g5. I just take a pawn and they ran out of time. So I am pretty happy with that game. And we're going to end the video there. But over time, we are going to go through more and more of my games and see how I built up from 500 to 1300. So that's something that I want to do. Also, I want to show some of my current games as well. And because these videos are more so targeted towards beginning players, but then I also want to make videos. Well, first of all, I want to analyze my own games and learn from them, but also make videos that are going to be interesting for people around my level. Also, videos about my games so that I can get advice from people who are higher rated than me. So that will probably be the next thing that I do. I'll analyze a couple of my recent games. And yeah, that'll be it for this video. And that next video will come soon, probably next week sometime. And also I do chess coaching. So I'll put my information, my contact information into the video description. If you've liked my style of presenting and teaching, I would love to take on new students for my chess coaching. So feel free to send me an email. Once again, that will be in the video description. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.